So stop me if you've heard this one before. A guy and his brother walk into Family Dollar and say, "Hey, give me all your hand sanitizer. Those boxes in the back, yeah, all of those crates, we're going to take everything you have." They decide to drive over 1,000 miles, doing this store after store, gas station after gas station, until they pick up 17,700 bottles of hand sanitizer. And now, well, they can't sell any of them. What a punchline. What a punchline indeed. So hey there. So today we are returning to that wonderful world of Way Out There. And I have to say these days, it feels like I drove up to order a value menu of crazy and the world said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to supersize that thing for free." Now when it comes to subjects like the one we're covering here, it really depends on a few things. See, myself, I don't begrudge people for taking non-necessity items, picking them up and saying, "Hey, we're going to resell them for higher than cost." I also don't blame people for going out and picking up things to abate fear, even though that it leads to all types of issues. What I do have a problem with, however, are people going out, picking up all the baby wipes or taking all the child's formula because they can go and sell this to parents because most vulnerable portions of our population, they are not being protected. Now, set against this backdrop where people are buying Infamil baby formula powder for $23 and reselling it for $237. You have individuals like Matt Colvin here, someone that is a self-described entrepreneur and businessman, buying up everything that they can get of a certain type of product, this time 17,700 bottles of hand sanitizer, and trying to resell them for astronomical cost. Now, the story I'm going to tell you about the brothers Colvin, it is not a unique one by any stretch of the imagination. There's always someone out there that wants to take advantage of tragedy. And well, these folks, they waited until the first death within the United States was announced. So on March 1st, brothers Matt and Noah Colvin, they set out in their silver SUV to go pick up some hand sanitizer. They drive around Chattanooga, Tennessee, hit Family Dollar, then they find a Walmart, then a Staples, and then a Home Depot. At each store, they clean out the shelves. So over a 3-day span, Noah Colvin took a 1,300-mile road trip across Tennessee and into Kentucky, filling up a U-Haul truck with thousands of bottles of hand sanitizer and thousands of packs of antibacterial wipes, mostly from quote-unquote little hole-in-the-wall dollar stores in the backwoods, his brother explained. The major metropolitan areas, they had already been cleaned out. So while Noah did all of this, his brother Matt Colvin stayed home near Chattanooga, preparing for pallets of even more wipes and sanitizers he had ordered and started listing them almost immediately on Amazon. Mr. Colvin said that he had posted 300 bottles of hand sanitizer and immediately sold them all between $8 and $70 each, multiples higher than what he had bought them for. To him, it was crazy money, easy money too. To other people, however, it was something different. It was profiteering from, well, a pandemic. Initially, this was more than successful for people like the brothers who went in. They created short supply, things that were in demand, and they would go in and they would sell all that they had at any price that the market would bear. Here's a chart of that too. It talks about the prices spiking for these types of supplies on Amazon, and what it does is it charts average daily prices from January 1st through March 7th for some of the most popular products returned in keyword searches. Starting with the chart on the left, average prices for popular results on Amazon for disinfecting wipes. What you'll notice is from January through February, you have a little bit of price volatility, but it pretty much remains stable. From February to March, you'll notice quite a few spikes in that. And then in March, when you have this panic set in, this number, it not only spikes, but it spikes up almost double the price that you saw in January, nearing $40. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. Now, the same goes for hand sanitizer. And I forgot to mention that the object in gray, that is sold directly by Amazon. But when you look at third-party sellers for hand sanitizer, you'll notice again, January through February, you have a bit of fluctuation, but it still stays relatively normal. February to March, you see some spike. But around March, when all the panic sets in, these numbers, they go from around, say, $25 to $30 to almost $80 on March 5th, which is absolutely insane. And allowing people to sell like that is egregious as well. Lastly, we have the best and possibly most insane chart, the N95 masks. Now, N95 is a designation talking about keeping out at least 95% of airborne particles with oil notwithstanding. Now, if you look at these numbers here, you see this again, the same thing that we've seen January to February, although those numbers, you notice they take drastic steps upward during February. Seems like they're going to level out, though. But then in March, you see not only a spike, but one heck of a spike at that. We are talking about prices going from around $25, $30 at most, to upwards of, say, $175. That is absolutely insane. Now, customers were less than thrilled about this, and also less than thrilled about Amazon's part in it, where they take 15% from the consumer. Some of the tales that they tell too, Amazon, they couldn't ignore. For example, a nurse from Dudley, Massachusetts, name redacted, says that she was searching for hand sanitizer since before she gave birth to her first child on March the 5th. She said that she was searching store after store, and guess what? All of them were sold out. I wonder exactly how that happened. So she went about doing things like skipping getting gas to avoid handling the pump. Now, that may sound crazy to people too, especially people who don't have kids, but let me tell you, you are so afraid in those moments, and adding things like this, that has to be harrowing. She said that when she checked Amazon, thinking that maybe they could help, she couldn't find anything for less than $50. She had plenty of things to say about that too, talking about selfishness, talking about hoarding resources for their own personal gain, and guess what? Amazon, they decided to act. See, it's not just the lowly plebs like you and I that are calling for Amazon to pay attention. Oh no, lawmakers are getting involved too. Here's a senator from Massachusetts, also the Commerce Science Transportation Committee member, saying, hey, Amazon, you need to stop this and stop this now. Quote, no one should be allowed to reap a windfall from fear and human suffering. Internet-based retailers such as Amazon.com have a particular responsibility to guard against price gouging in current circumstances as consumers who are finding the shelves of local brick-and-mortar stores bare and who may wish to avoid venturing into crowded stores and shopping malls turn to the Internet. Now, Amazon's response to this talks about price gouging, noting that this is a clear violation of our policies, it's unethical, and in some areas it's illegal. In addition to terminating these third-party accounts, we welcome the opportunity to work directly with the state attorney generals to prosecute bad actors. Now, interestingly, there's discussions over culpability. Like, say, Mr. Colvin, we started out with. This guy lives in Tennessee, where you have price gouging laws that keep people from charging, quote, unreasonable prices for essential goods and services, including gasoline, in direct response to a disaster. Now, on Saturday, after the Times talked about this article, the Tennessee Attorney General's office said it had sent investigators to Mr. Colvin's home, given him a cease and desist letter, and were now investigating this case. Now, of course, he says he didn't do nothing. There's no criminal liability. There's no negligence within that. He's actually what you would call a good guy, doing a public service, and he's getting paid for his public service. Quote, there's a crushing, overwhelming demand in certain cities right now. The Dollar General in the middle of nowhere outside Lexington, Kentucky doesn't have any. How did they get that way? Oh yeah, because people like this guy bought it all up. Then he added, I honestly felt like it's a public service. I'm being paid for my public service. Now, as for his stockpiles, he said he would probably try to sell it locally. If I can make a slight profit, that's fine, but I'm not looking to be in a situation where I make the front page of the news for being the guy who hoarded 20,000 bottles of sanitizer that I'm selling for 20 times what they cost me. Funny thing about these public servants, though, here's one, for example, talking about selling 10,000 masks and making not a few bucks on it, but $25,000 profit. That's just on one thing. Again, necessity? In fact, a myriad of sellers talk about doing this stuff, taking boxes of masks that they had bought for $20, putting them out for $125, and making $35,000 to $40,000 in profit. Even public servant Superman said that he had made quite a bit of money, noting he wouldn't disclose profits on the record, but that it was substantial. Substantial. I hope you remember that lesson too when you're down at the dollar store hoping that you can find an Easter basket full of cleaning products and baby formula. These folks, they aren't taking advantage. Oh no, they're just entrepreneurs. And any damage that they do, forget those laws that are supposed to keep them in check. But anyway, you tell me what you think. Now, ending this, I want to make this brief, but I still want to say this. I appreciate you showing up and participating in this endeavor. Without it, it's nothing. I mean, you make this stuff work. I truly mean that too. You know, not enough people, they thank you. I want to do that, and I want to do it without monopolizing your time. If you want to help out the channel, say subscribing and on, definitely do that. But again, you know that drill. I just, like I said, wanted to say thanks. I do appreciate you, and we'll be doing this again soon. So maybe check that out if you'd like.